Okay. uh, okay. ठीक है तो okay, let me share my screen. Just give me a second. Just give me a sec. ठीक है, so it should be visible, right? The real this. ठीक है. Okay, I assume it's visible. Okay, so what we gonna do is last time क्या देखा था अपन ने? Last time we have seen that this is the compose app and inside this module everything is there. Earlier it used to be share module. Now everything is part of this module. Be it Android main, common test, iOS main, JS main, JVM main, and web main. So सब कुछ चीज यहाँ पर ही है. Everything is here. Okay. And for the IO specific, the things are here. And we have also seen how does the Gradle plays out in all these things. What are the each source set? What are the dependencies? We have seen all of these things. Plus, this is the new Gradle version catalog. So how to use it? I have shared the link in the last meeting as well. So you can see the things I did. Cool. Now we're gonna start from where we left off. Uh, so we're gonna see a bit of again basics today, and then we will see independence of things and all those things that. So let's just start with a very basics. So inside the Android main, you see there is this things called main activity. Okay, and what it does, I'll quickly show you on both Android and iOS part how the things works, and then expert textual and all these things. So if we see the Android part, let's just forget these things for now. इसको बाद में देखेंगे. Let's just focus on the main activity. So in the main activity, you see we are there is a background noise from someone. Okay, cool. Okay, it's fine. So we have the main activity, and it extends the component activity, and you write the on create and enable edge is if you want you can have it, otherwise it's removed. And then there is a super call, and then in the set content block we are calling the app. So what is this app? App is essentially composable function. We grab the material theme. There is this state called show content, and the state is being toggled on the button click. Okay, so if I start the interactive mode, if I click on start interactive mode, I should be able to play with this button. So I click on it, and you see this icon is visible. I click on it again, so it's gone. So this is how it will work on a device. This is not actual device. This is the preview. But in case you don't know, you can enable the interactive mode in the compose as well. So you can play animations, you can interact with the buttons and whatnot. ठीक है, तो ये एक simple चीज है. It's very simple, but on button click we are updating these things. Okay, so Android part, almost everyone is familiar with it. If someone, or if someone wants to join, yes, Mayur, you
Hello.
want to ask something?
Yeah, so in the project directory, can you enable the option of selecting the file which you are looking at right now? So if you click on the three dots and go to behavior, it says always select opened file. Yeah, this one. So as you navigate through the files, I think it will auto expand the yeah. So we'll just get the idea that where which file is located.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
thanks.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Okay, I was like, what is this picture? Am I missing something? Okay, cool. Okay. So this is the things everyone is familiar. If someone of you thinks that you are not familiar with these things, the best way is to just leave the course. Okay. So this is the app, and this is how we deal with the compose. So Android का सबको पता है. Let's just focus on iOS now. Uh, so on the iOS part, if you see, there is this things called iOS app. So iOS app में iOS app.swift and content view.swift is there. So let's just focus on this part. So what is a Swift? Swift is a programming language, just like a Kotlin. Okay. So earlier in before the Swift, iOS folks were using something called Objective C. So it's a variant of a C language that is designed specifically for this. So they were using the Objective C. Then the Swift was introduced, and Apple made it the switch to default to Swift. So Swift is again object-oriented programming language, just like Java and Kotlin. So the syntax will be bit different, the concepts will be different, but we'll try to understand from the Android perspective. So इन दोनों को side by side देखते हैं, and let's see what does it exactly mean. So your class main activity, which extend the component activity. So similarly, iOS this @main is the starting point for the iOS application. So you can consider this main as a combination of your main activity plus we mark this as a launcher activity, right? We mark this main activity as a launcher activity. So you can consider this main as a combination of both. So this is the entry point to iOS. Then there is this struct. Struct is similar to class. So Swift has these kinds of things. If you know the C, C++, you should be probably familiar with the struct. So struct is a similar to class in a Java, and in a Kotlin it is more similar to data class. So it encourages the immutability. So this is more sort of a data class in Kotlin. Okay, and Swift has I'll quickly give you the overview of a Swift. So Kotlin में हमारे पास data class होते हैं. Swift has a struct. Kotlin में we have interface. So this Fox has a protocol. So protocol is again not 100% same, but almost same comparison. So interface is your protocol. Okay, and even they have a class as well. Okay, so this is a struct, मतलब class हो गया आपका. iOS app is again name. Just like we extend the component activity. So app is a main class, main class for the iOS applications. And this app is for the Swift. Okay, this app is coming from the Swift. तो इसको ऐसे समझो कि this app is your compose की component activity. Okay, it's not an activity. In case of Android activity, in case of Android, we have something called activity, right? So similarly, iOS had these things called UI. कहाँ गया? हाँ, UI view controller. UI view controller. iOS has these things called UI view controller. This is more sort of your activity or a fragment which displays the UI. Now there is these things called where, body, and sum. So I'll tell you these things, but before we do, I'll make a short clarification. I'm just explaining these things because you should be compatible with iOS. In futures, we'll write most of the codes in the Compose multi-platform only. So we'll try to share as much as code we can share. But I'm just explaining the basics, so you doesn't get confused. अभी there is these things called where body. Again, मतलब ये आ रहा है where body, and then there is this thing called a sum scene. So what is this sum? I'll explain this in a bit. So scene is something like कि ये भी आ रहा है, F से ही आ रहा है, ठीक है? And then there is this window group. You are defining one window group, and then you are calling the content view. So similarly, we are calling the app, right? So similarly, we are calling the content here, and window group एक window बनाता है, it creates a window. Now this content view extend the view. Content view extend the view. Okay, this body extends scene, and again scene is coming from the Swift UI. and content view extend the view, and view needs to override this sorry, view needs to have this some view inside it. Now what is this some view? This word is something new for us. Okay, so we know struct, we know these things, we know where, where is for it is used for declaring the mutable variable. If you want to declare immutable, you can use a let and where. Okay, something well नहीं है यहाँ पर, तो you can either use where or let. ठीक है. Now what is this sum? Okay, now let me show you one thing. ये यहाँ पर compose UI है. Let's say इसको मैं रहने देता हूँ. Let's say I create my own class, my iOS UI. I'll create something like this, which extend the view. My iOS UI. I will have where body, some view, and then I can have text. The Swift UI is completely almost same as a compose. Okay, there are few difference are there. Hello from iOS, and I could have image like this. Hey, image like this. So I want to load these things instead of this. So I'll just call it. Uh, I will explain this. Don't worry. ठीक है. अब इसको run करते हैं. Let's run this iOS app and let's see what happens. If I run these things, we should be able to see these things printed. So this is more similar to your composables, right? In Compose, we write the things in this way. In Swift UI, you write things this way. It's almost similar. Once you just give it a 2-3 days, and you should be able to write in Swift. Of course, you won't be advanced level guy, but it should be good to get started. So iOS में देख लेते हैं. Let's just see in the iOS part if these things get printed. Okay, let it run. Okay, hello from iOS, right? Image is not short. Of course, this is not a resource. Okay, so hello from iOS, so we can see and this is working. Now, what I want to explain is this sum word. So what happens is, see this body, it's a sort of a function, right? And it needs to return something. Compose के case में our function does not return anything, because we don't have these things here. In case of Swift, this has to return something. Okay, so inside the Swift internally, it creates a complex hierarchy of what to say uh, types. So for example, sorry, I forgot one thing. We have the column here, right? The column is a vertical. So Swift has something called a V stack. Okay, so similarly for the row you can use H tag. तो इसको मैं again run करता हूँ. Sorry, ये दिखना चाहिए my bad. So I'll show you these things. ठीक है. Okay, this is hello from iOS. So we have these things called a V stack, which is similar to column. H tag is similar to row in a compose. So this is from the Swift UI, not Swift programming language, but Swift UI. Again, it's built on top of a Swift, but it's a just Swift UI is similar to compose. So now if you see the return type of this body, this would be a complex type, something like it's a V stack, and there are two things. Okay, so it's a tuple, and the tuple contains text and image. Okay, so this is a complex type. Okay, now as a developer, we definitely don't want to write something like this. We don't want to write something like this. This returns these things. Okay, we definitely don't want. So what Swift allows us, someone wants to join. Okay. So what Swift allows us, it says that, okay, fine. You can say that this body will return some view, not exactly what view, but some view. Again, this is a view, right? It's a, so इसको ऐसे समझो कि this type is a generic type which extend the view type. तो आप क्या बोल सकते हो कि ये बॉडी कोई तो व्यू रिटर्न करेगी. ओके, एग्जैक्टली कौन सा व्यू वो यहाँ पर स्पेसिफाई नहीं करना है. यू डोंट नीड टू स्पेसिफाई एग्जैक्ट व्यू, बट दिस बॉडी विल रिटर्न some view. So this is why we have a some word in a Swift UI, in a Swift. Okay, so essentially this means as a developer, we don't need to specify the view, but the compiler will specify the exact return type. Okay, as a developer, while writing the code, we don't need to specify the view. So that's why it's a sum view. This function or this variable will return some object of this view. Okay, so is that clear? All good? Uh, okay, I guess
Yes.
no questions and we are good. ठीक है, तो sum is clear. So this is the simple thing. ठीक है, and I'll just comment it out and ignore safe area. तो again it's a pretty inferable. Android में जैसे अपना enable h2 as है, तो similarly it will ignore the safe area. Now this compose view is the struct. Struct मतलब again remember sort of data class. Now see what is happening here. iOS had these things called UI view controller. Okay, I added these things. जैसे अपना activity and fragments होता है ना, just like we had activities and fragments, iOS had this guy. Okay, now what we are doing is we are not dealing with a UI kit. जैसे Android में XML होता है, iOS में होता है UI kit. Okay, I'll just share uh, these things. Hmm. Again, you don't need to know the nitty-gritties of these things, but I'm just sharing it in case you just want to go and explore. So ये है iOS का XML. Okay, Android में we had XML, iOS had UI kit. Android में we have Compose, iOS had Swift UI. Okay, now you have a view controller. But what we are building here is we are building the application using what to say? We are using application using the Swift UI app. So app is something, it's your container. Okay, it's coming from the Swift UI. तो Swift UI के अंदर आपका ये UI controller आ जाएगा. Okay, it will go like this. So there is this content view, and this content view body is created of compose view, which is UI view controller representable. Okay, so it's a sort of related classes. It returns the UI view controller as I mentioned here. Okay, now this function says make, see these functions make UI view controller is useful to show the UI, and update UI view controller is useful to update the UI if you want. Now what does I mean? uh compose में how many of you are aware about the Android view? मतलब ये कितने लोगों को पता है Android view? These things, we have a factory and we have a update. Some of you knows, right? Okay, cool, thanks. So what this means is Android view allows you to load XML UI into your composable. Okay, you have, let's say, some XML UI. This is especially useful if you have the UI that is coming from the library and you don't have a compose solution yet. For example, अगर map load कर रहे हो, map has compose view, but let's say you are working with the exo player. So if you want to load their XML view, you can do these things. And whenever there is a change into you want to change the UI, you will call the update block. Similarly, this make view controller is sort of your factory. It allows you to create a view controller, and update view controller is sort of your update block. Okay, cool. So इसकी कभी जरूरत नहीं. Let's leave it empty. Now this inside the make view controller, we need to populate this guy, because this is what we are showing in iOS as well, right? This is what we are showing. So we need to populate this guy. Now this is a composable, so of course you cannot just write it like man this, you cannot do it, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use something called a compose UI view controller. Compose UI view controller. It's coming from androidx.compose.ui.window. So essentially, see what it's doing. It's creating a UI view controller which can load the compose UI. तो ये compose का काम है, अपना नहीं है internally. But essentially, it will create a view UI view controller which will load the composable function inside it. Okay. Now this function is marked with this. and it's loading the app block inside the view controller. तो हो क्या रहा है essentially कि अपना जो app block है, app block is getting loaded into UI view controller that we have created, and this guy is getting loaded into, yeah, like this. Okay, now one important things to understand from the Kotlin perspective, not just for the game, but for the Kotlin, is this is a top level function. This is a top level function, main view controller. And Java and Swift both can understand the language of a classes. Java, even Java don't have a concept of a top level functions, right? So what Kotlin does is whatever the top level functions or variable you have at the compilation time, at the runtime, they will be accessible to other guys using the file name dot their function name or variable name. तो इसका फाइल नेम क्या है? मेन व्यू कंट्रोलर. तो जो जनरेटेड क्लास होगा, ये जो टॉप लेवल फंक्शंस है, दिस टॉप लेवल फंक्शंस विल बी placed inside something like, let's say, class main view controller and then kt डिपेंड कर देगा कोटलिन. तो उसके अंदर ये घुस जाएगा समथिंग लाइक दिस. तो आउटसाइड कॉलर कोटलिन में यू कैन डायरेक्टली कॉल इट राइट एनीवेयर. फॉर द आउटसाइड कॉलर, लेट्स से जावा और स्विफ्ट, they have to call via file name appended with kt and then the function name. So that is what we are doing. Main view controller kt dot main view controller. Okay, ये देखो यहाँ से आ रहा है. So this is how the things works. Again, not just for the Swift, same goes for the Java as well. And finally, using inside this view controller, we are loading the compose app. So this is how end-to-end things are working for Android and iOS. Clear up to this point? Any questions? Any concern?
No.
मतलब ठीक है. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is how the things are working so far, and so far so good. We are good on this part. Okay, तो content view हो गया, ये हो गया, and ये हो गया. ठीक है. So this is done. Now let me show you some things, to just understand how the things works. Uh, let's say, let's understand the life cycle first. Android की life cycle तो सबको पता ही है. I don't need to explain, right? We have main activity, and either activity or fragment is our main component. You will have on create, which we are using, on stop, on start, on pause, and on stop. All of you knows these things, but just I'll tell you. On create is when the activity is created. It's called only once. On start matlab when activity is coming to foreground, but you cannot yet interact with it. Okay, it's visible, but you cannot interact it. On resume matlab it's visible plus you can interact. On pause matlab activity lost the focus, but it's still visible in the background. And on stop matlab it's uh, it's not visible at all in the background. So if you, all of you knows these things, in case you want to see with a practical example, मेरा एक repo है, you can just Android tutorials, हाँ, you can go to this repo. यहाँ पर एक चीज है एक्टिविटी लाइफ साइकिल विजुअलाइज. Okay, so you can just open this, you can clone this, run this module, and you will be able to better understand the activity life cycles. I'm just sharing it as a side note. Okay, cool. So with that assumption ki all of you are pretty familiar with the activity life cycles, I'll just move on. So you know these things. Now let's focus on this part. So on the iOS part, as I mentioned, we need to have UI view controller. Okay, UI view controller. Then uh, similar to on create, they have view did load करके callback है. It's fire. Okay, ये जैसे on create है, they have view did load. On start के लिए view will appear. On resume के लिए view did appear. ऑन पॉज के लिए व्यू विल डिसअपियर एंड ऑन स्टॉप के लिए व्यू डिड डिसअपियर. काफी कॉम्प्लेक्स नेमिंग है इसका, बट ओके वी कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग राइट. ठीक है, तो लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. एक बार ये भी देख लेते हैं फिर आगे बढ़ते हैं. तो लेट्स से कि वी वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग्स. दैट मीन्स लेट्स से कि व्हेन माय एप्लीकेशन स्टार्ट्स आई वांट टू वेरीफाई कि ठीक है दिस मेथड्स इज रियली गेटिंग कॉल्ड. सो हाउ डू आई वेरीफाई? तो उसके लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? वी नीड टू उसके लिए वी नीड टू create one UI controller. Okay, what we need to do is we need to create one UI view controller. ठीक है, तो let's create a class uh, my custom UI view controller which extend the UI view controller, something like this. And यहाँ पर क्या करेंगे, यहाँ पर we will this function. Since this is sort of your activity, we can override this guy view did load. Okay, uh, on view. ठीक है, function view did, ये देखो दिख रहा है ना, view did load. Okay, this. Okay, as you can see view did load is getting shown here. Okay, that means ये है अपना on create call पे. Now inside this view we have created our own custom view controller. तो क्या करेंगे, ये जो है ये क्लास है, इसका एक इंस्टेंस बनाते हैं. अगेन हाउ डू यू मेक ए इंस्टेंस? यूजिंग let और where. So let's keep it a let. इसको बोलते हैं compose view controller, something like this. Okay, compose view controller. Now what we're gonna do is we need to uh, add this into these dot suggestions. Add child. Yes, we need to call the add child, and we need to here we need to add the child view controller. तो अपन ने क्या किया, ये जो कंपोज का व्यू कंट्रोलर था उसको इसके ये नया जो बनाया है उसमें एज चाइल्ड ऐड कर दिया. ठीक है, तो एंड देन एक और चीज होती है कंपोज और यू सेट, कुछ कुछ तो होता है set GUID means something like this. I need to check. Okay, I'll check it. No worries. But let's say I just add a print statement here. ठीक है, तो I you can simply write print like this कि view did load hold. Okay, because we will just verify that okay this things is working. And ये अपना on create में जैसे log डालते हैं ना, ऐसे ही सिमिलरली है print dot print. ठीक है, तो let me run this iOS here. Okay, running it. Let's wait for it. ठीक है, तो यस ये हाँ भाई हाँ, तो ये लोड हो गया. ठीक है, चाइल्ड ये तो लोड हो गई, ये प्रिंट यू डिड लोड फंक्शन यू डिड लोड व्यू डिड लोड. व्हाई isn't it called? Let me check once. अच्छा हाँ, because see we are not at all calling this guy, we are not at all calling this guy, and because we are क्या कॉल कर रहे हैं, कंपोज भी कॉल कर रहे हैं, वी आर नॉट कॉलिंग दिस वन. तो उसके लिए लेट्स just call this one here. Static method requires that my comes to view. I have to find an class and expression. I check. Let me see. I don't want to go into syntax thing, so I'll just check if ChatGPT can help me. Array ChatGPT. एक सेकंड मेन ऐप इसकी तरह हाँ ठीक है वहाँ पर है वी आर लोडिंग कंटेंट व्यू तो जहाँ से I'll just edit and I'll just ask the ChatGPT probably how to load this UI controller and delete, you know, don't forget the syntax. ठीक है let's just you but there is a couple of issues you call it child but it is the child's views हाँ तो एक attach वाला रह गया था ना this one say it right we need to do something setting as well you don't add sub view and we are adding this as a sub view and then use it into Swift UI. अच्छा हाँ content view तो इसमें my custom view मतलब आ जाएगा like this. Okay, and then we're gonna import this one. इससे हो जाना चाहिए. Let's run these things. I'll explain once it's done. Yeah, there you go. View did load fold, right? So this is your on create method. So essentially what we did is we are just calling the content view. Content view may we are calling this compose view struct and which needs to so basically we need these things because this is a view from the Swift UI and we are dealing with a UI view controller. So we need a way that consider this as a bridge kind of thing, adapter kind of thing. Okay, that loads the UI view controller into Swift UI view. And then instead of using this view controller, we created our own custom view controller where we are getting this view controller, which includes the compose app as a variable. And then we are adding it as a child. And then we are adding as a sub view. And then, our final print whole view did load. So as you can see, this on create, I'll call it on create. So this on create got called. So this is how the things works. So similarly, if you just want to, over like view will appear or view will appear or view will disappear, you can override accordingly as well. Something like view will appear. ठीक है यहाँ पर एक चीज है animated. If you want to deal with it, you can do so. Otherwise, it's fine. You will appear cold and you will disappear. Okay? So similarly, you will disappear. We'll just print it, and we just want to verify that this was called. Let's run it. हम्म हाँ ये देखो दोनों view did load and view will appear cold. Okay, because this is how it's expected to. Now if I go into background, view will disappear should get cold. Verify कर लेते हैं एक बार. Let's just verify it. I go to background and view will disappear. What? You wanna call remember? We are printing it. You did disappear. Let me override this as well. Yeah, one. It's sort of now on destroy. Let me just check once. Run this and you will did view did load. You will appear and view did appear. अच्छा नहीं disappear वाला करना था. Sorry. You did disappear. हाँ ये वाला करना है. गलत मेथड कॉल कर दिया था यहाँ पर. You did disappear. appear disappear में काफी कंफ्यूजन हो जाता है यार. This that you will disappear. And ये वाला क्यों इक्वल हुआ. But you did disappear. Yes, I can just try to make a super call. हाँ. Still not open. Click. Run again. हाँ. Foreground पे why it's not getting cold. देखना पड़ेगा but ठीक है. This is how it works. I don't know. It's being tricky. So this is how it works. All in all, this is similar to अपने ये life cycle methods. Okay, view did load, will appear, did appear, will disappear, and did disappear. ठीक है. So this is how the life cycle management on the iOS part works. All good. Any questions? Any concern on this part? Anything?
No.
It's going good for everyone or like how?
Actually, what was the point? We were not able to run the app first.
Sorry.
Am I audible?
Yes.
जब पहले iOS पे अपन रन कर रहे थे तो वो रन क्यों नहीं आ रहा. लाइक आपने क्या नई चीज ऐड की थी. ऐड चाइल्ड सब व्यू आई गेस इट वाज पॉइंट.
नहीं रन तो हो रहा था. वो
हाँ.
ये सब व्यू ऐड नहीं हुआ था. वो डिस्प्ले नहीं कर रहा था. एप्लीकेशंस तो रन होगी. योर सब व्यू वोंट गेट इट. तो अगर मान लो ये मैं सब व्यू यहाँ से हटा देता हूँ. चाइल्ड एंड सब व्यू दोनों को मैंने हटा दिया. I did something like this. तो यहाँ पर देखो कोई व्यू नहीं है कुछ. ये क्योंकि what is happening is I am referring that okay, this guy is something I want to load. This guy is something I want to load, and I have created my custom view controller. But I am not telling my view controller that okay, hey, you need to load this one. तो इसीलिए व्यू नहीं दिखेगा. इवन इफ यू लेट्स से जस्ट ऐड चाइल्ड ऐड कर दिया आपने. ठीक है. बट उसको एज अ सब व्यू ऐड नहीं किया तो वो दिखेगा नहीं. तो दिस you need to add a sub view and there you go. Your view will be loaded. Okay. Is this you wanted to ask?
हाँ मतलब वही.
हाँ ठीक है. Cool. Yeah, thanks. You can note down there. Okay.
Yeah, Rajesh, I
So,
have one question.
Who is this, please?
Richard here.
Oh, Richie. Okay, then who was asking in the first place?
I was.
अच्छा, Kushal. Okay. ठीक है. हाँ, Richie, please.
Yeah, so iOS does have only those 5 life cycle methods. Like in Android, like we do have some extra, right? Let us say, like on restore and several are there.
Even iOS has these things, but since it's not something that we really want to go into, so I have just skipped it.
Okay, so like there are extra methods, right? In iOS also, like this,
So,
like in Android.
so yes. So if you see view did layout, subviews, view is appearing, view layout, margin did change, view will layout, subviews. So many things are there.
Okay.
Okay.
No, like
Good.
I was asking in terms of life cycle methods. Like there are several extra life cycle methods, right?
So even this is the life cycle only. View did appear, view is appearing. This is life cycle method only.
Okay. Okay, so these are extra methods. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So we have this guy sorted on life cycles things are done. Now we're gonna see how the sharing works. ठीक है, अभी ये समझ लिया अपन ने बेसिक्स। अभी इसके ऊपर आते हैं दिस थिंग्स, प्लेटफॉर्म पर, प्लेटफॉर्म डॉट एंड्रॉइड डॉट गेटिंग, and then we will see, because see, this is getting used inside greetings, and essentially greeting is used inside our view. So हो क्या रहा है, I'll show you. Inside the animated visibility, we are creating a state called sorry, we are not creating a state, we are just creating a variable and remembering it, and we are calling greetings.greet. So what is this greeting? This greeting is created inside a common main. Okay, and what this greeting does, it has a variable called a platform. Okay, and the platform uh, then and it is and inside the platform class we have these functions, top level functions called get platform, which returns a interface platform. Okay, and this platform is a name. So what is these things? Now let me explain with some diagrams. So what is our goal? If you see these things, what is printing? It's printing the actual platform of any wherever it's run, Android and iOS. तो ये सारी चीज प्रिंट करने के लिए अब इतना सारा कच्चा चिट्ठा है. ठीक है, now how these things is working? Since we are not dealing with a single platform, so we need to take care of everything. Let's say we have multiple platform called Android and iOS. Okay, similarly you can have a desktop as well and web as well. Now what you want to do is you want to retrieve the name of the name of the each platform. Now the way to retrieve the name of the each platform is a different. For example, Android may, you know, you can retrieve the name of Android may, you can retrieve the name of the platform using this one. कहाँ गया भाई? So Android में you can retrieve using the build.version SDK int. इसमें SDK int use किया है, but you know you can use anything. मतलब this is your API version essentially. SDK int is your API version. Okay. Android के लिए क्या कर रहा है? It's getting the SDK version of the Android that it is running. But what I want to highlight is this is the way to get the Android version into Android. Now for the iOS, it might be different. For the iOS, it might be different. iOS के लिए आपको मान लो you need to use a UI device class, which is different than build class. Build भी एक class है, right? Similarly, iOS has the UI device class, and desktop could have its own something. So the way to retrieve this thing is different. What we need some common info. We need some common info, but the way to retrieve this common info is different in each of the platform. ठीक है, हर एक platform में retrieve these things is different. Now, what we want to do is we want to retrieve this info and show it into all the platforms. तो उसके लिए जो कॉमन इन्फो अपन को रिट्राइव करना, whatever is common across all the platform, we will, as we discussed, we will define them inside a common main. Okay, तो ये जो common info है, in our case we just want to get the platform. Okay, we just want to get the platform. Platform is the info, platform name is the common info that we want to retrieve on each of the platform. तो अपन क्या करेंगे यहाँ पर? What we gonna do is we gonna और जो इन्फो चाहिए वो उस प्लेटफॉर्म में क्या चाहिए, उसके लिए विल डिफाइन अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कॉल्ड इंटरफेस. let's say define inter platform, and if you just want a name of this platform. Okay, name would be string. तो इतनी इंफॉर्मेशन अगर इसको कोडिफाई करें, if we codify this information, it will result into something like this interface platform, and then we just need a name. If you just, you know, if you want a number like Android SDK number, iOS version number, desktop, some sort of number on the desktop, so you can define something like this, a number equal to int or whatever. So you can define these things. So this is the information we want. So platform के case में, so what we did is inside the common main, we created a file called a platform. Again, it's coming with by default with the KMP project. So I'm explaining it. I'm explaining because we're gonna use these kinds of feature, in the future sessions of our classes. So we created an interface called a platform and called a name. ये हमने कर दिया. Now, how do you enforce कि each of these platform should implement this interface? ठीक है. See, one interesting things I'll tell you from the design perspective. When you are designing these kinds of things, how should you think? So this interface is something you can define. Now, of course, you can define your own implementation, like something like let's say key class Android platform, Android platform. This is something you can define and which can implement the platform class iOS class or struct whatever. iOS platform, and you can define it like this: iOS platform. So and then there is this things called desktop platform. The first very simple thought we can think about it is you can do something like this. Okay. Now, if you could do something like this, what the hell is this guy is doing? Expect. What is this? I mean, this is something we usually don't see in a Kotlin code, right? Here it looks like a keyword because it's written in a orange word, and keywords are reserved system words. Uh, there is this thing expect is a keyword, and let me tell you, keywords are of the high priority. High priority means the language designers usually avoid introducing new keyword unless and until there is a very strict requirement. Okay, इसीलिए अगर coroutines all of you know right, Kotlin coroutines में अगर देखोगे तो you see launch and async and await, all of these are functions, they are not keywords, right? Coroutines all of you have seen, right? Launch is a function, async is a function, and even the await is a function. अगर JavaScript देखोगे तो they are a keywords. Async and await is a keyword in a JS. Kotlin means not a keyword, it's a functions. It's just the name of a functions. Because Kotlin team wanted to avoid introducing a new keywords. Okay, it has a whole lot of maintenance. यहाँ पर ये keyword दिख रहा है, क्यों keyword की जरूरत पड़ी? You could do something like this, but why it's there? So basically the things with the interface is, you cannot enforce, right? You cannot enforce key each platforms must have to do these things. You cannot enforce इंटरफेस का इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में बना भी सकता हूँ, नहीं भी बना सकता, नहीं बनाना है तो मेरे को नहीं बना सकता भाई, लैंग्वेज लेवल पे थोड़ा ही कोई मेरे पास एनफोर्स है, राइट? मतलब इफ आई हैव क्रिएटेड एन इंटरफेस तो कोटलिन एज ए लैंग्वेज थोड़ी मुझ पे एनफोर्स करेगा कि तू इसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन बना ही बना. आई वांट टू डू इट, आई विल डू इट, आई वांट देन वांट. तो दिस इज द इश्यू. वो तो होना नहीं चाहिए, इसका तो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन बनना ही चाहिए, राइट? So this is why, because then only we will be able to access it, everywhere. That is why Kotlin team introduced a concept of a expect and actual. Okay, what does it mean? Expect means you are expecting something. What you are expecting? You are expecting the platform to provide a name. And what is the actual? Actual means the actual implementation that will give you whatever you are expecting. Okay, so this is the simple logic behind expect actual, and this is the reason they are a keyword. So you just define expect functions or variable whatever in a common class, in a common module. So we need this platform information, तो अपन ने define कर दिया. Then एक top level function expect कर लिया अपन ने. We are expecting one top level function called get platform, which will give the implementation of this interface. हर एक प्लेटफॉर्म इसका implementation देगी अपन को नाम से मतलब. We just want to give the name. Now if you click on this gutter icon, gutter मतलब वो gutter पानी वाली नहीं है, gutter वाला ये icon. So if you click on this gutter icon, it will show you all of the platform that implements or essentially that implements the actual function. तो एंड्रॉइड में अगर देखोगे कंपोज ऐप में तो हाँ, and one more thing, whatever the name of the file where you are expecting some data functions or variable, each platform should create a file with the name of that file, then dot platform name dot kt. Okay, तो ये हो गया। ये इस फाइल के अंदर we are extending this platform interface via Android platform, and we are overriding the name via Android dot build dot version dot sdk int. ओके, ये अपन कर रहे हैं, ठीक है। नाउ within it, now see, this was the expect function. Android is implementing the actual function. तो यहाँ पर actual, it's actual implementation. So get platform में what we are calling, we are just calling the instance of this class, okay, which is essentially a platform. Similarly, iOS में भी होगा, देखो iOS में platform.ios.kt. iOS में how do you retrieve the name? As I mentioned here, right? You retrieve via UI device.currentDevice.system name plus system version. So this is how you retrieve it and you provide the iOS platform. ये iOS मॉड्यूल का कोड नहीं है, iOS मॉड्यूल का कोड यहाँ पर है, ये कोड है कॉमन कोड कुछ एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा है तो हाउ iOS विल गिव। देखो एक चीज नोटिस करो, इस iOS मेन के अंदर इसको पूरा का पूरा स्विफ्ट का एक्सेस है। देखो यू सी दिस थिंग्स यूआई डिवाइस, ये iOS का चीज है, platform.ui kit, so it has access to this UI kit plus Swift. I mean I can have ये तो क्लास है क्या, ठीक है, init I can have views and what not, platform.get UI kit, platform.ui kit, so I can have everything that is related to iOS right here। यहाँ पर ER kit, ये kit वो kit, तो सब कुछ मेरे पास है यहाँ पर एक्सेस में, ठीक है। तो पूरा वो का पूरा मतलब iOS का प्लेटफॉर्म, ठीक है। आई हैव दिस थिंग्स, तो इट इज रिटन इनसाइड iOS मेन। कॉमन मेन का इंप्लीमेंटेशन जाएगा iOS मेन में, ठीक है। तो यहाँ से ये आपको देगा प्लेटफॉर्म। सिमिलरली डेस्कटॉप में इसका इंप्लीमेंटेशन अगर देखें जेएस में, डेस्कटॉप मतलब जेएस वाला, ठीक है। तो इट्स रिटनिंग अ जेएस प्लेटफॉर्म, सॉरी जेवीएम होना चाहिए, डेस्कटॉप इज नॉट जेएस, इट शुड बी, हाँ जेवीएम। तो यहाँ पर क्या कर रहे हैं अपन, सिर्फ जावा का वर्जन छाप रहे हैं, ठीक है। सिस्टम डॉट गेट प्रॉपर्टी ले रहे हैं, सिस्टम डॉट गेट प्रॉपर्टी जावा डॉट वर्जन, वी आर प्रिंटिंग द जावा वर्जन। जेएस के केस में वी आर प्रिंटिंग व्हाट, वेब विथ पोर्टलिन जेएस। यहाँ पर कुछ रिट्राइव नहीं कर रहे, जस्ट ऐसे ही हार्ड कोडेड छाप रहे हैं, ठीक है। एंड वाजम में अगेन हार्ड कोडेड छाप रहे हैं। तो ये जो एक्सपेक्ट फंक्शन है वो आपका एक्चुअल कॉमन कोड है, जैसे कि दिस ऐप इज अ शेयर्ड कोड, राइट। तो यहाँ पर आपका कॉमन कोड के अंदर ये होगा, ठीक है। दिस थिंग्स विल गेट प्रिंटेड। तो ग्रीटिंग में क्या आ रहा है, प्लेटफॉर्म डॉट नेम, एंड इसीलिए दिस नेम इज गेटिंग प्रिंटेड हियर। तो एंड्रॉइड में वो एंड्रॉइड एपीआई एंड एंड्रॉइड वर्जन छापेगा, यहाँ पर वो iOS का ये छपेगा, ठीक है। तो दिस इज हाउ द थिंग्स आर वर्किंग। I'll take another example as well, so this expect actual will be more clear. But before we do, is it clear the basic funda expect and actual ka? All clear? Any questions? Any concern?
Uh, yeah, Rajesh. So
Yes.
basically, for every expect function, the
Hey.
return type will be an interface. Is that correct?
Yes, this is how it should be, because interface defines your contract. So you
Okay.
just define what you want, and the function should return that things in return. So
Okay.
expect is your contract, expect is what you are expecting, and the implementation will provide what this platform has to provide.
Okay.
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 Yeah, cool.
So, just one more question, sorry. So that
Thanks.
interface can also have functions, right? So
Ah,
here we are just having a variable. So I think it can also have functions, right?
yes, yes. I'll show you one concrete example by
Okay,
adding a
okay,
functions. Yes.
okay.
Cool. We will just do some sort of logging with these things. तो वो भी अपन देख लेंगे इसके बाद. ठीक है. Any more questions from anyone's side? No? Cool. ठीक है. तो I assume it's all clear for all of you folks. Why expect actual? Why do we even need these things? मतलब है तो है, but क्यों है? This is why we need it because we want to enforce these things. For example, अगर मान लो मैं iOS में से ये चीज हटा देता हूँ. I don't deal with it. Okay, and you see it will show me a compilation error. No actual for expect declaration in modules this one. तो अगर मैं iOS if I try to run this app, compilation will fail itself. तो जितने भी प्लेटफॉर्म्स है, whatever the target you are adding, they must conform to these things. Whatever you are expecting, आपके जितने भी प्लेटफॉर्म्स है, एक दो तीन चार, all of them must have the actual implementation for that thing. Okay, if you don't have it, the compilation will fail itself. So this is how the Kotlin is enforcing. Implement interface बना के आप enforce नहीं कर सकते. So this is how the compiler is enforcing via expect actual mechanism. ठीक है. तो ठीक है ना. अभी अभी एक एक और चीज डिसीजन लेवल पे, अगेन नॉट रिलेटेड टू कोर्स बट डिसीजन लेवल, कि हाउ द डिसीजन शुड बी डिसाइड डिसीजन शुड बी टेकन. नाउ यू मे थिंक कि भाई इंटरफेस बना के क्यों नहीं एनफोर्स कर सकते? अगर कोटलिन को एज ए कंपाइलर चाहिए ही चाहिए, तो वो तो इंटरफेस बना के भी इसमें केएमपी में बोल देगा कि भाई इसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं है तो डाल. अल्टीमेटली इट्स अ कोड एंड लॉजिक, राइट? वो तो बोल ही सकता है. बट इससे होगा क्या? इससे एक्चुअल डिजाइन डेविएट हो जाएगा कि भाई रेगुलर कोटलिन प्रोग्राम है, उसमें तो इंटरफेस ऐसे बिहेव करते हैं कि यू आर नॉट एनफोर्सिंग इट. केएमपी में यू आर एनफोर्सिंग. तो ये तो कोई बात नहीं हुई, ये तो डिफरेंट बिहेवियर ही हो गए, राइट, इंटरफेस के. तो दिस इज नॉट समथिंग nobody wants this kinds of different behavior. इंटरफेस है तो पूरे प्लेटफॉर्म में सेम ही रहना चाहिए, पूरे कोटलिन में, केएमपी हो, कंपोज हो, एंड्रॉइड हो, व्हाटएवर. तो इसीलिए इंटरफेस के बिहेवियर के साथ चेंज नहीं करना चाहिए. अगेन टेक्निकली फिजिबल, बट करना नहीं चाहिए. तो दिस इज वाई ऐसा एनफोर्स नहीं किया गया, रादर देन दो दो कीवर्ड्स इंट्रोड्यूस किए गए, एक्सपेक्ट एंड एक्चुअल. ठीक है. फुल आई थिंक फॉर लॉट ऑफ ज्ञान. तो अभी एक इट्स 1 hour, तो एक शॉर्ट ब्रेक ले लेते हैं. ब्रेक के बाद वी विल कंटिन्यू एंड विल बी बैक बाय 10:17. 10 मिनट. Okay. So is everyone available? Are we good to start? Start करेंगे. Cool. So, hmm, so we were here, right? Function, get, platform, and then we had these things. Now let's extend this functionality. Okay, let's extend this functionality. Basically, we can create a use case like whatever the name of the platforms we are getting, we want to print it. Okay, we want to print it into log console. Okay, क्या करना है अपन को log console में करना है. तो Android में तो you could use a log.d, right? You can just have a whatever the tag and you can have the message. तो ये फंक्शनैलिटी अपन को हर एक प्लेटफॉर्म के अंदर चाहिए, मान लो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, एंड विच इज अगेन रिक्वायर्ड. अगर फुल स्केल ऐप बना रहे हो तो लॉगिन चाहिए होगा आपको. तो हाउ डू यू डू दिस थिंग्स? फर्स्ट थिंग्स इज वी नीड दिस एज अ कॉमन फंक्शनैलिटी. तो कहाँ जाएगा? कॉमन इंटरफेस में. यू कुड हैव समथिंग लाइक log name. I'll just have something like this log name. Okay, and it could take a name as a string, something like this, as a link to this. ठीक है. सॉरी, नेम पास नहीं करना है यहाँ पर, तो वी कैन जस्ट हैव अ फंक्शन कॉल्ड log name. And what else we need to provide is this expect function. जिसके जितने भी प्लेटफॉर्म के जितने भी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, जैसे कि एंड्रॉइड प्लेटफॉर्म, इट नीड्स टू इम्प्लीमेंट द मेंबर. ठीक है, तो लॉग नेम में वो क्या करेगा? इट नीड्स टू डू log dot d something like this. Let's say we have a tag and we could just print the name. Okay, something like this. And I'll just call the class name. And by the I just want to make sure that these things is getting printed from this class. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to refer this and then reference variable and this dot class dot simple name, and then finally I'm going to print the name. So what this line will do is this line basically print the name of the actual class containing this variable. Okay, name of the class containing this variable. So ये Kotlin का चीज है, nothing to do with a KM. This then reference reference operator and then class dot simple name. Okay, and so this will print the name of the class and then we are printing the variable name. ठीक है, तो Android का implementation हो गया. iOS का implementation देखते हैं. iOS में yes, we need to override that guy as well. ठीक है, तो iOS में if you want to do the logging, you can simply do the print you can do, or otherwise you can use things called ns log. Okay, so iOS has many things with ns user data and ns logs and ns whatnot. So you can use ns log. ठीक है, तो ns log अपन ने यूज कर लिया, तो उसमें भी you can use format, and then you can use Verax, whatever the Verax want. So I just want to bring the क्या नाम है this one. I just want to bring these things into iOS as well. Okay, so I'm gonna just bring these things. Okay, so I will use nslog. nslog ये प्लेटफॉर्म कहाँ का है? iOS का. ये देखो ये आ रहा है नेटिव प्लेटफॉर्म फाउंडेशन से. It's iOS foundation. And this you can refer here as well. The iOS में you can see here. Foundation. अच्छा ठीक है. Okay, so this is the iOS specific thing. Now let's see about other things like कहाँ implementation बचा है इसका इंटरफेस का. तो एक तो हाँ JVM पे बचा है. JVM पे I can simply print the again variable name. I can just simply do the println. मतलब ये तो JVM है, तो I can simply use a println, right? And then what remains is the JS part. Okay, JS में भी अपन को लॉगिन का इम्प्लीमेंट करना है. ठीक है, तो JS में दिस इज अ ब्राउजर, राइट? दिस इज अ ब्राउजर. तो ब्राउजर में क्या होता है? ब्राउजर में भी हैव अ कंसोल, राइट? So I can do console.log like this. I can do console.log hello, and I could do this. So hello is printed, right? So let's see if we have access to console. Oh my god, yes, console.log, and we can simply do this. Okay, तो ये यहाँ पर print होना चाहिए. And then finally कौन सा बचा? Is wasm. Wasm का I don't know. So I'll just use कंसोल एक्सेस नहीं है यहाँ पर. प्रिंट रिलेटेड कुछ है तो सही. ठीक है, डाल देते हैं. ठीक है, ऑसम. तो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन इज डन. नाउ व्हाट वी गोना डू इज वी गोना कॉल दिस थिंग्स. इम्प्लीमेंटेशन तो अपन ने दे दिया, वी हैव प्रोवाइडेड द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. नाउ वी गोना कॉल दिस थिंग्स. यहाँ पर एक और फंक्शन डाल देते हैं, फंक्शन log name. Okay, what this is supposed to do, it is supposed to call platform dot log name. Okay, तो क्या करेंगे? यहाँ पर एक और बटन बना देते हैं, समथिंग लाइक दिस. एंड इसके ऊपर एक और बना देते हैं बटन कि log name, like something like this. तो on click पे we gonna call uh, we'll need a greetings at the outer layer, and we gonna call greetings dot greetings. अच्छा, अरे मैं ग्रीट नहीं करना. हाँ, greetings ऑब्जेक्ट चाहिए यहाँ पर, तो we gonna call dot log name, and यहाँ पर we gonna call greetings dot greet. Okay, we gonna do these things. तो essentially log name कॉल कर रहे हैं, log name प्लेटफॉर्म अपना अपना लेके आएगा. ठीक है, तो मैं इसको रन करके दिखाता हूँ, एंड्रॉइड एंड iOS दोनों. ठीक है, तो iOS में we gonna log this, तो it should be visible using the NS logs, and Android में भी वो दिखना चाहिए. Let's click on it. Building. Building. Yeah, I click on this log name, and there you go. You see, actual NS logging is getting performed. It's not your regular printf. ये वाला printf था. ठीक है, तो this is actual NS logging, and this is how you perform a logging in iOS. Android पे चला के देख लेते हैं. Let's run it on Compose app, and let's run it on another thing. Let it build, and we should be able to see this guy in a Logcat, right? We're gonna see these things in a Logcat. Let's run it. I click on it, and there you go. Android platform, Android 19. So the class name of the class as well as the name of this is getting printed. So this is how your common code should be, something like this. Okay, तो ये एग्जांपल क्लियर हो गया लॉगिंग वाला. तो I
Can you show the iOS platform class again?
okay,
Sorry.
so iOS is this one. We are using the NS log.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the essence is this is the platform specific properties, NS logs and log.d. We don't care about that in a common code. We only expose what we want, and then each platforms will provide their own implementation. Okay. ठीक है. Also, that does not mean कि it can be only like this, like एक interface बना दिया and let's say कि log name डाल दिया. Okay, let's say usually loggers आप देखोगे, if you see the loggers, especially uh, if you work on backend part, there's this guy SLF4J And so these are the logging framework for the Javas and Spring Boots and whatnot. तो ये जो loggers होते हैं usually singleton, right? Because throughout the platform एक ही logger का implementation होना चाहिए. कितने होने चाहिए? एक ही. ठीक है. So what we can do is instead of defining them via interface, let's and doing these things, what we can do is we can create our own because see this is, let's treat this as a related to platform. It has nothing to do with logging. मान लो ये नहीं है यहाँ, ठीक है, and you want to enforce the logging. तो क्या कर सकते हैं अपन कि you wants to you want to expect a logger, so you will write expect and singleton कैसे बनाता है Kotlin में check से, right? So you gonna write something called a logger expect, क्या बोल रहा है ये, हाँ ठीक है, expect object logger, ठीक है. तो यहाँ पर what you gonna do, you gonna write a function logger dot log, debug log or whatever, logger dot log. तो अगर किसी को टैग देना है तो दे देगा, and then finally there will be a message something like this. So this is the things you want to use in the common code. Okay, so instead of calling these things, okay, and calling this one here, what are you gonna do is you gonna call logger dot log. ठीक है, तो टैग मान लो मैंने दे दिया टैग एंड मैसेज है कि this is log message. Okay, this is log message. Now this is a tag, this is a log message. So platform should respect these two things, tags and message. Okay, so ये हो गया अपना expect implementation. This is what we are expecting. We are expecting the platform to provide us a singleton which provide us a function. Okay, यहाँ पर देखो interface कुछ return नहीं कर रहे. तो again, my point is कि expect can be anything. अभी इसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन बनाना पड़ेगा अपन को. एंड प्लस वन मोर थिंग्स, इसको एक अलग ही फाइल में बनाता हूं ताकि यू विल हैव एन आइडिया. लेट्स कॉल इट अ लॉगर. लेट्स हैव इट लाइक दिस एंड यू गोना हैव दिस थिंग्स. ठीक है, तो इसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं है, तो if I do the option enter, so it says me to create a loggers, actual loggers as well. So I'm gonna click on it. एंड ये पूछ रहा है कि भाई कितने मॉड्यूल उसमें करना है, तो मैंने अभी किया है JVM में. अच्छा ठीक है, 1 second, आई वांट टू क्रिएट इट इनटू JVM एंड्रॉइड नेटिव. तो iOS में भी कर दिया अपन ने एंड एंड्रॉइड में भी कर देते हैं. ठीक है, एंड्रॉइड मेन में you see it created a file called logger.android.get. यहाँ पर ये क्या करेगा, ये एक्चुअली log.d मारेगा. ठीक है, तो टैग वी गोना प्रिंट द टैग एंड वी गोना प्रिंट द मैसेज. सिमिलर सेम चीज इसका जो iOS इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है दैट इज दिस वन. तो यहाँ पर वी गोना यूज अ ns log, राइट. तो ns log से कहाँ गया भाई, सेकेंड this one, हाँ, ns log से we gonna print the tag and let's print the message as well. तो ये हो गया. और जो तीन बचे हैं that is your desktop, that is JVM. Okay, so let's use println and we're gonna use $tag $message. तो ये भी हो गया. अभी कौन से बचे, JS and Vessel, right? So console.log and I'm gonna use the $tag and $message. ठीक है, तो ये हो गया. अभी वेसम एक बचा है, उसको भी कर देते हैं println $tag $message. ओके, तो सारे के सारे एक्सपेक्ट एंड एक्चुअल हो गए. ठीक है, तो एक्सपेक्ट actual classes including interface objects annotations enums and actual type alias are in beta. Okay, so ठीक है, beta में है तो we are fine with it. Functions are stable, expect functions and variables are stable, expect classes and other things are into beta, so we are fine with that. तो इसी का यूज करके अपन यहाँ पर log dot ये प्रिंट कर रहे हैं, ठीक है। तो I'll just run it. इसमें अगर मैं देखूंगा log cat में तो I'll be able to see. There you go. This is my log message. Similarly, iOS में भी अगर रन करता हूँ तो I should be able to. Now you have an idea, but let me just run it. ठीक है, I click on it and there you go. The NS log is happening, right? So this is how it works. Okay, clear? तो expect actual वाला scene actual में clear हो गया? Any questions around it? You should be able to design the shared APIs by now. ठीक है ना? So this is how the things works. Expect and actual, and this is how you define it. बाकी जैसे जैसे मतलब as per requirements we will go and implement in the future classes. ठीक है, तो
Yes.
हाँ, yes, maybe you want to ask something?
No, no, I was just saying yes, I understood.
Okay, cool. ठीक है, तो sorted. So this is the things. Uh, and the use case of this would be most of the functionalities, because let's say let's say you want to the use I'll tell you the use case. Let's say you have something like the uh, you want to store the data into database. So uh, if you want to use a common solution, well and good, but अगर मान लो कि आपको platform specific implementation choose करना है and you want to store the data into key value pair, तो Android के लिए you could use shared preference, right? You can define your expect function called save data and get data, and Android implementation may you will use a shared preference, and iOS implementation may you could use NS user data. Okay, this is some things you can do. uh, DB use करना है तो you could use room, and you could use core data in iOS. तो ये भी SQLite है, core data is a SQLite just like a room. ओके, तो इस तरह से इसकी प्रैक्टिकल यूज केसेस है. दिस आर द प्रैक्टिकल यूज केसेस फॉर दिस. ठीक है, तो दिस इज सॉर्टेड नाउ. In the start early lectures I'm setting up the foundation, so once we proceed, these things does not confuse you. ठीक है, तो ये हो गया. Now what remains? हाँ, तो shared code may need to react to life cycle events like start the network listener, pause video playback, close database, but shared code cannot directly observe platform callbacks. So the platform layer must communicate with a shared logic. तो UI components, as I mentioned, कि hardware access अगर चाहिए, system service चाहिए, platform APIs if you want to use. So for all of these kinds of things, you can use expect actual mechanism. So basically ये उसकी theory है जो अपन ने practical में देख लिया. We have seen it in the practical. This is the theory. So KMP offers this. Expect defines what functionality is needed, but not how it works. So sort of an interface and declared in a common main. Actual is the actual implementation, and it's declared in the platform modules like Android main and iOS main. ठीक है. So this is the simple examples we have already seen it. I've just added it here. And yeah, as I mentioned, the compiler enforces that every expect declaration in the common module has a corresponding actual implementation in all, not most or not in all target platform modules. So this gives you a guarantee. Like let's say, as of now, we are only building for two platforms, Android and iOS. And tomorrow we add a desktop support as well. So even there we have to add the actual implementation, otherwise compilation will fail. And okay, now moving to the architecture for the KMP. So if we talk about the architecture, we will use the same architecture like we use in Android. We'll follow MVVM, model view and view model. All of you know these things. I'll just share a few hints on some of the things. Uh, Okay, so we follow the MVVM and with a clean architecture pattern. So what is a clean architecture? So it's not a separate things. I mean, it's not something like there is a MVVM architecture plus there is a clean architecture. It's not like that. So what does MVVM plus clean is? MVVM, model view and view model. I don't need to explain MVVM, right? I assume all of you are familiar with it.
Yes.
You got your model, because I don't want to spend time in this model and view and um, view model. ये तीनों चीजें अपनी view layer is here, view model is here, model is there, right? So we're gonna use this architecture into KMP as well. ठीक है? Sorry. So the clean thing, I was talking about the clean thing. So clean is not something, there is this MVVM structure and clean structure. Clean is basically the way you keep the things clean. For example, you have built your MVVM architecture. Technically, it's a MVVM, model view and view model. But let's say your package names are messy, something like com.a.b. What does this package do? Nobody knows. So if you make it clean, like com.aria Rajesh dot mod models. So I will have an idea ki, okay, this does some things related to, it will have a data model inside it. If I does something like com.drgs.network, that means networking API related operations will be inside this, sorry, inside this package, right? So I should follow a clean package structure. I should follow properly a class name, something like instead of my API, you could use a user API. So this gives an indicate key. This is dealing with the user. So having a proper class names, interface names, variables names, and having a good proper structure and make the things readable, add comments wherever applicable. So if you do these kinds of things, that becomes your clean architecture, right? So that's what people refer MVVM plus clean. क्लीन कहीं बाहर की दुनिया से ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि नया आया है एमवीवी के साथ बैठ गया, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. You could have like this, you could have a clean MVC. Okay, just do these things, just follow the same things and you could have a clean MVC. You could have a clean MVP as well. You could have clean MVV MVI as well. तो बेसिकली क्लीन पोटेटो की तरह है, किसी के भी साथ बैठ जाता है. ठीक है, तो दिस इज हाउ इट वर्क्स. Okay, sorted. So we're gonna use these things, and then we're gonna use a repo. We will use repos here when we create the actual project. My goal is to start from actual applications. That means, let's say we are building some applications that perform some real work. It's passing some data, and we are showing it, and then we are gradually adding the functionalities. ऐसा इस बार ऐसा नहीं करना है मुझे, because in past batches, some of the batches, what I used to do is I used to explain the concept in isolation. Now what I want to do is I want to take a full project application and keep adding features on top of it. So you will have an exact idea how in the real app you adjust the things, how you stitch the things. तो वो ही अप्रोच लेके अपन करेंगे यहाँ पर भी, इस कोर्स में भी. वी विल टेक द ऐप, आई शेयर की क्या बनाएंगे अपन ने, मतलब जब आएगा तब आई शेयर इट. एंड देन वी विल कीप एडिंग. फॉर एग्जांपल डेटा स्टोर ऐड कर दिया, रूम डेटाबेस ऐड कर दिया, नेटवर्किंग ऐड कर दिया, तो वी गोना ऐड दिस थिंग्स इनटू द प्रोजेक्ट. ठीक है, तो repositories बनाएंगे. we're gonna create a repositories. Repo will act as a single source of truth, just like you see, and this would be our architecture. like Android, यहाँ पर तो खैर 2 UI है Android में, Compose UI, iOS में Swift UI. But we're gonna use Compose multi-platform, so even the UI part will be shared. View models will be shared, and use cases if required you can do it, otherwise fine. Repositories will be implemented, and uh, networking, local database, and shared references will be, local reference will be shared as well. Networking में Cator is important thing, so we'll have a look at this when we reach to that point. View models भी shared है. तो देखो, one nice things about these things is Google has made almost all of the regular Android library that we use in Android to KMP compatible. So your view model is KMP library now, your data store is KMP, your room is a KMP, and compose is a KMP. So hey, already. So many of the libraries that we use in a day-to-day life are KMP compatible. So it will really makes our life easier. We don't need to learn, new things. We'll just continue with this one. तो ये यूज करेंगे and regarding the designing the shared API, these are some of the things you should consider. Shared API मतलब ये वाला, this is what we call a shared API, right? Expect and these things. So when writing a shared code in a common main, avoid exposing platform specific types. So यहाँ पर whenever you are designing a shared APIs, do not include platform specific type. I mean, you should not use in the log, don't use something like what to say, bitmap. Don't use something. Let's say you want to use an email. Don't use something called a bitmap or bitmap painter because see this is coming from Android. It is specific to Android. तो बाकी के प्लेटफॉर्म्स ने तुम्हारा क्या बिगाड़ा है? तो यहाँ पर वो बिटमैप कहाँ से लाएंगे? They won't be able to do it, right? So do not introduce platform specific things in the shared code because now you are not just building for a single platform, you are building for a multi-platform. So keep things that are available to all the platforms. Strings and types तो सब जगह रहते ही, right? So make sure कि it's a type that is available everywhere. अगर नहीं है तो you need to write some other level of wrappers, but try to avoid platform specific APIs into the shared code. Shared code should not depend on Android or iOS classes or per se JS or JVM classes. If it does, the whole purpose of cross-platform sharing breaks. बिकॉज यहाँ पर प्लेटफॉर्म स्पेसिफिक चीज आती है तो बाकी के लोग तो प्रोवाइड ही नहीं कर पाएंगे, राइट? iOS कहाँ से log.d कहाँ से लेने जाएगा? It won't have access. It will only have access to iOS related data. ठीक है, तो this is something you do. So this is one example कि uh, if you want to create a function called a save user, do not pass context and user. Okay, that is bad design. Just use a save user and this user is your custom type, custom common type. जैसे प्लेटफॉर्म आपका टाइप हो गया तो ऐसे ही यूजर टाइप हो गया एंड पास जस्ट पास इट. जहां पर प्लेटफॉर्म स्पेसिफिक एपीआई चाहिए वो खुद उधर जाके करो. मतलब मान लो कि एंड्रॉइड में यू नीड अ कंटेक्स्ट फॉर एग्जांपल. ओके, तो कंटेक्स्ट में यहाँ पर जो क्लास बना रहे हो ना वहां पर इंजेक्ट कर दो. मतलब समथिंग लाइक दिस, जस्ट इंजेक्ट कंटेक्स्ट हियर, समथिंग लाइक दिस, बट डू नॉट एड इट इनटू शेयर एपीआई. तो ऐसे कर सकते हो, इंजेक्ट कर सकते हो और वॉट एवर, but do not try to, sorry, I mean try to avoid it into shared APIs. This is the things you should keep in mind. I think that's all we wanted to cover for today. It's been around 11 p.m, so I think we are good. So cool, I'll just stop here for today and now I'm open to question. If anyone has any questions, we can discuss, or otherwise we will continue with the next session on Friday. Any questions from anyone's side? सही है, मतलब
Uh-huh.
सही 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 लग रहा है ना whatever is going on.
Yes, I just had two questions basically.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, First one is like before session, is there anything we should look at or brush up so that it will be helpful in next session?
हाँ.
And second question was about more use cases for this actual and expect, but I think I'll just look it up. Yeah,
Plus, yeah, plus one thing is we, as we gonna progress, we will cover more and more things for this as well.
yeah,
Okay, so we're gonna use, let's say whenever we need any shared API, we're gonna go and create it into expert textual. ठीक है, तो regarding the next session, I was probably planning to have these things for dependency injection. I wanted to explain the dependency injection, and I assume all of you are familiar with a dagger, right? Do we have anyone who is not dagger and hilt?
Hilt wear, I'm familiar with, not with dagger actually.
अच्छा अच्छा, okay. तो dagger में basically we have two uh, main dependency injection into KMP. The one is a coin. Okay,
Yeah.
so coin नाम सुना होगा. So coin is a KMP compatible. The pragmatic Kotlin and Kotlin multi-platform dependency injection framework. ठीक है, तो it's really good and many people are using it. तो मेरे को इसमें एक चीज एक ही गलत लगती थी. आई डोंट नो अभी इन लोगों ने इफ दे हैव चेंज्ड इट और नॉट, बट दिस वाज using runtime checking for the dependency. This was checking using the runtime dependency for this was using runtime checking for the dependency. I can see they may have added a compile time transformation, तो एक बार देखना पड़ेगा. But due to these things, I was avoiding coin and I was leaning toward Metro. So Metro is another DI library for the KMP by the Jack Sweet. This guy works at a Slack, and it is built on top of. I mean, it is inspired from Dagger, Anvil, and other dependency injections. So Dagger is a really nice TI, so that's why I asked. बट ठीक है, डेगर का थोड़ा थोड़ा ऊपर से देख लेना. मे बी आई अगेन, मैंने जो स्लाइड्स बनाई थी वो मेट्रो को ध्यान में रख के बनाई थी, बट अगर कोइन में भी कंपाइलेशन का सपोर्ट है तो आई सी एंड आई डिसाइड कि भाई कौन सा बेस्ट वर्जन है जिसके साथ हमें जाना चाहिए, एंड विल गो विद दैट. कूल. तो कोइन भी काफी काफी केएमपी स्पेस में ये भी काफी पॉपुलर लाइब्रेरी है कोइन भी. ठीक है, तो डी आई ही है, बाकी तो लेट मी शो DI थोड़ा बहुत देख लेंगे. अगेन DI का, because everyone is experienced developer, right? I don't need to go and explain each concepts of the DI. तो DI के बाद क्या बचता है अपन का? coroutines. Yes, हाँ, this is nice things. तो इधर, अच्छा, so I'm gonna try to explain how the coroutines will work across the Android and iOS, because this is something we will definitely need, right? We're gonna need the coroutines. It's ये तो अपना core है, so we're gonna need how it works in the iOS. So I'm gonna try to combine these two things. Dependency injection अलग से नहीं इसका ना. अच्छा नहीं, ठीक है. So I'll try to combine these two things. तो coroutines भी अगर if you, हाँ, coroutines में I will try to avoid explaining the existing things. For example, अगर you may ask कि भाई launch क्या होता है, तो वो difficult करना, explain करना difficult रहेगा. As in कि I don't want to explain these basic concepts. You should be familiar. What is the launch? What is the async? What is the await? So make sure कि you just go through it and you are aware about it. Okay, cool. ठीक है, sorted. I guess well and good. If no more questions, we can wind up the session. किसी का और कोई question नहीं है ना?
No.
ठीक, ठीक है, चलो. Take care then. Good night. Take care. Bye bye.
Good night. Bye.
Good night. Bye.